Hello, it's John here for part 2 of our Muzzle Flash tutorial. So in part 1 we created two materials in Photoshop, two textures, and in this one we're going to put those together and create the effect in Unreal Engine. So no, I've got my two materials here. I've also imported a very quick model of a gun that I quickly made. Not very impressive, but yeah, it was quick, trying to do this fast. The short way of doing this, so let's get started and let's create our material. We're going to create a new material. I'm going to call this Muzzle material. Let's open that up. And first of all, we're going to want to drag in our pieces. So let's drag those in like that. Maybe zoom out a bit so you can sort of see everything. And what we're going to do is we're going to want to set this to planner and mask because we're going to be using an opacity mask from our top one, our actual burst, and then we're going to be wanting to sort of blend these together. So what we're going to do as well, just so we can sort of see it when it decides to render and come up, is we are going to want to combine these two. And we're going to do so by creating an add. So we can right click and type in add, or we can just hold A and left click. And we are going to bring these together. I'm not going to just do that straight away though, because that's not really going to come out with too much power. So what I want to do is create a multiply, and again I can either right click and type in multiply and hold M and type in. I'm just going to make the bottom texture a bit stronger. Loosely, I mean I might have to play with this a bit, but you know, let's maybe just try about 2 or 3-ish. And as well, the reason we've created this texture is I want this texture to sort of move over the whole thing as it's going. So I'm going to put a panner down. And what this will do, this will tell the texture to move across as we're viewing it. And let's just set maybe like that to 2 and that to 1 or something. And for the sake of viewing, let's have a quick look. Cool, so as we can see, we've got this panning across in an unusual way. And that'll look cool enough. So let's stop viewing this, go back to our normal, and check out what it looks like as a collective. I'm not sure if the emissive is going to be a bit too high. Oh, and also I should bring that back in. If Cool, so as you can see, we've got the texture coming over everything and moving across, and that's just going to make it a little bit more dynamic. I'm actually just going to take this maybe just down to a flat 2, but that'll be good enough for me. So let's build on this a little bit more. And what we're going to do first is create a blueprint for like the gun that we can just use just so we can like sort of see what it's going to look like together. And then we're going to create the particle effect. And yeah, that's good. And yeah, so let's right click and gunny. In fact, now I'll just create it in here. Right click, create a new blueprint class. I'll just say as an actor, gunny BP. Open that up and let's attach our static mesh. Cool, so there's my goon, and let's just come out of this for now because we're going to want to create a particle effect. But I'm not going to be creating the particle effect from start. I'm going to be using and tweaking one of the inbuilt ones. So let's go to our start content, go to particles, and P explosion. I'm going to right click and duplicate. And I'm going to call it MF underscore party. Muzzle Flash Party. This is the particle effect that we're going to be using with. So we don't want all the components of this, like we don't want the shockwave. And do we want the fireball? We do not want the fireball. The sparks we want. The firelight we don't want. And the smoke we want. Cool. So let's get going. And right click to create a new particle emitter. I'm just going to solo that for now. And get my muzzle flash material. And let's keep going with this. So spawn, we're not going to want to spawn 20. Let's just maybe say 3 or 2. And let's see how that's going to look. And we're also going to want to do a size over life, but we'll come back to that. What I also am going to want to do is, in my emitter, I'm going to change it from square to velocity, and I'm going to change my initial velocity. Set these to 0, 0, 0, and then these are the ones we're going to play with. We'll set that to 2 and that one to 1. And then you see how it's just sort of creating on the spot, but moving around a little bit. Maybe I might not add a 1 and 2 to that as well. In fact, let's set this to 0.2 and 0.1. Now, should have gone actually the other way around. UB2, UB1, UB about 0.2, UB about 0.1. Cool. There we go. So that should hopefully look pretty nice. Just going to give it a minute to sort of compile its shaders and figure itself out. Cool. So just press on. There we go. We can now see our muzzle flash. And that's okay enough for sort of what we want with it. We've got like a little bit of shake and stuff because of the velocity. But what we want is to make it look more muzzle flash like, and muzzle flashes are quick off and ons. So let's right click and we are going to go to size by life. And this is the one that we're going to want to play with. We're going to make sure we've got 3 points, start, middle and end. And there we go. So start, we're going to be 0, 0, 0. And this one, we want this to be a really low number. But let's then try maybe 6 and 6 and 6. And then this will be like 0.2 and like 0.2. So you see how we're quickly flying up, but it looks like it's smoothly scaling. So again, I'm just going to tweak these numbers a little bit. Bring this closer to the 1, so it looks like a quicker flash. And this is what I was going to want to come down. I think the number's probably a bit too high. Let's maybe try 4. And maybe set this to 0.1. Oops. Cool. That's looking a lot better already. And we've got like the effect, it's looking quite good. And let's move this out of the way and tweak the smoke a bit, because the smoke is huge. So it's just like half this. And being the size of life as well, we'll also have to tweak this a bit too. See, it's like 13 and about, oops, it's supposed to be 13. Ah, type jump. Cool. And that should be a bit better. And let's have a look at the sparks. So at the moment the sparks are just shooting out in any old area. So we're going to have to change to these. Let's turn off the sphere and the constant acceleration. You see how we're just creating this? Let's add some regular old velocity. And let's go minus quite high. And give it a bit of range as well. So now we're shooting quite far, but we're also going to need some up and down. Let's bring these numbers down a touch as well. And you go up a bit. So you see how we're now almost creating. We've got that up and down. Cool. So if we pull it all together. Okay. Quick point. We're looping on this. We don't want to loop on you. So set loops to 1. So it only loops to once. And we're not really seeing our particle too much. And that's because we're going to want to sort of bring this in first. So let's do that by going into spawn. And we're going to set it to 0 here in a constant. And we're actually going to add, well, let's try adding a burst. So maybe set you to 3. There you go. Now we're seeing the effect first. And that's pretty cool. Let's add a small delay on our emitter, on our smoke, sorry. And maybe set you to about 1. Okay, that's too far. About 0.5. Bring it down a touch more. A touch more again. And that'll be good. And let's do the same thing with the sparks. Well, I just want a small delay on these. Maybe 0.1. Alright, let's go across to our gunny. Set this up and add our particle effect. Okay, so we're going to have to make a quick change here. And that's because, quite obviously, our spark's going the wrong way. And they are also huge. So velocity, what do you set to? So I set you to 445, and you 260. And let's also change your initial size, bring you down a bit as well. 215. And let's spawn less of you as well. So note how this is also not spawned initially, but spawned with a burst. Let's bring you down to about 15. And maybe 10. Cool. Hit save. And that looks pretty cool. I think that looks pretty cool. Maybe pull it right a little bit. And what we're going to do is, because we really want to bring this home, so let's go to our emitter and duplicate it. And in this one, let's just change the emitter rotation just a bit. Up to maybe about like 90 or something. Maybe not quite that high. Yeah, that should be alright. So just play, your emitter rotation bit, sweep down, and let's also give it a small location offset. Not much, just to tweak it a little bit. And actually, let's just change some of the numbers as well, just a little bit. And that should be good. Ah, no, it's way too off. Alright, pull the offset back in. And make sure it's off solo. You know what? Let's just take that off. That's not really worked out as well as I hoped it would. Why are you so offset? Maybe it's because they're required, isn't it? Okay, we're going to have to do this the painful way. We're just tweaking the numbers as we go in. Alright, so you're going over there. Bring you back in around here. Cool. There we go. We have our muzzle flash. And, you know, let's just trigger it to a key. So let's say if we press R, particle effect. Let's type in emitter. Set emitter. Boom. Job's a good one. Let's yeah, it's pretty good. I'm happy with that. Let's just move you out the way. Go back to where I set my goon, my blueprint. I think actually it might need to be brought down a touch, actually, looking at A&D editor. So let's just bring it down a touch. Stop your simulation. And a party. Cool. So yeah, there you have it, guys. We have created a muzzle flash particle effect. And I think it looks pretty cool. Hopefully you guys are happy with that too. The final effect did look pretty good. What I'm tempted to do as well, and what I think I will do actually, is not just going to end it there. I want to try and maybe have a look at creating the particle effect as a PNG sequence in After Effects, and then what that would look like if we imported that. So creating the PNG sequence as the actual muzzle flash instead of using cascade, our editor in here, and seeing how that would work. It'd probably work best like a 2D game, but we'd have a bit more control over it, a bit more sort of could make it a bit more dynamic. So we'll probably do that as well in the next tutorial. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you found it useful.